My old bike, it doesn't have many things which marketing teams might suggest that I need, or at least would lead you to believe that I need. But what it does have is speed, balance, and grip. So let's begin by taking a look at some of the things that this bike does not have. And we can start with weight. Now, this bike is 26 kilos, and that's on a good day. But we're being told that lighter is better, right? And I suppose lightweight is good if you're carrying a bike up a mountain, like we did recently in northern Italy. Frame material is made out of alloy and not carbon fiber. I mean, you pay more for performance with carbon fiber, right? Well, it's actually not just about the material, it's actually about the knowledge that the designer, the frame designer, has when making an eMTB. Next up is wheel size. Now, as you can see with this bike, it's not business up front and party at the back, like, let's face it, most mid-travel eMTBs are this day. And I think the reason for that is partly the brand managers are sheep. Oh, and the wheels aren't carbon fiber either, because, well, there's a chance that I'd break them. The tires, as you can see, they are totally worn out. I've got no idea how that happened, but these tyres, worn out, are still better than many tyres in new condition, which I'll explain a little bit later again. The handlebars, they're not made out of carbon, they're aluminium. And the forks and shock absorber, no shiny coatings, but still, the performance on these is top notch. And the motor, it's not Gen 5, it's not even a CX Race Limited Edition motor. And some people say that that motor rattles. I can guarantee you my teeth rattle more than that motor does. So what then makes my white E160 so special? Well, I think it's down to fantastic geometry and outstanding suspension design and shock tune. Now, when it comes to the geometry, the kind of numbers we're talking about, 483mm reach, 64 head tube angle, 340mm bottom bracket, and a 446mm chainstay. So let's return to some of those points that I made earlier, which, let's face it, some marketing teams might feel challenged by. Beginning with weight. So it's not a lightweight mid-travel e-mountain bike. But for me, at 95 kilos, the combination with the 26 kilos absolutely works a treat. So whether it be really technical uphill rock sections or hideous banks, or downhill, this bike is a flying machine. I'd go as far as to say this is possibly one of the most planted bikes downhill. And I think weight plays a key part in that. Let's turn to frame material. As you can see, this bike is made out of aluminium. In fact, there's no carbon fiber anywhere on this bike. As you can see, the frame has good protection in the down tube and on the chainstay. And what it does have is a good relationship with the suspension design and shock tune. My Industry 9 Grade 300 wheel set. Key features of these wheels is they've got a hollow profile, which means these wheels are less prone to punctures and I can run low tire pressures. They're aluminium, they're 32 count, and they've got really nice compliance to them. Oh, and one key feature, insanely fast free hub pickup. Now, in terms of the wheel size, it seems every brand these days on a mid-travel e-mountain bike is running the MX setup, 29 front, 27.5 on the rear. Now, I do think that you can actually get your bum over the back of a 27.5 a little bit easier. And there is a theory that suggests that the 27.5 on the rear is more maneuverable. I think actually that's just a feeling. It's not actually a fact in every situation. But for me, the 29 front and rear, I think in an uphill scenario, simply has more poise and you can get your body in a more balanced position. So for me, 29-29 is the perfect setup. A couple other features on the bike, got my Ergon grips, color-coded with the frame, obviously, and the Ergon seat. Now, this is the Core Prime team. A few key features of it. It's got a nice wide nose for sticking your bum on when you're climbing up steep terrain. And also, there's a nice angle on the back of the seat to keep me in place, especially when things get pretty tricky in stream sections and route climbs. So, fundamental pedals, flat pedals. I always use flat pedals because I think, well, I'm just stuck in my ways, basically. As As you can see on the top of my handlebar, we've got my Garmin. I've also got a Garmin watch. Now, I don't just use this to look at my sleep score after a night on the red wine, but to record and measure my rides on my e-mounted bikes. Now, on this particular bike, I'd be looking at such things as range, as altitude, different weather conditions, different tire choices to compare different bikes. Next up is suspension. As you can see, there's no gold parts to my suspension. It's all black, and there's not, I mean, even though there is good adjustability on these forks. This is the Performance Elite fork and the Performance Elite shock absorber. 38 up front. I think a 38 is good for downhill scenarios, but like I said, no shiny parts, but the performance on those units is absolutely top notch. Okay, we're close to wrapping things up. A few more key pieces. Obviously the tires. Now, the tire is totally worn out because it's had 2 weeks in northern Italy, shredding down through loads of rocks and roots. But it's actually thermally stable. So when the conditions go from dry to wet, it doesn't actually alter the grip that much because I think it's a 42 compound on this tire. And yeah, I can run low pressures on it because of the thick sidewalls. It's a really good combination with the Scorpion up front as well. Cranks, I don't know who put the cranks on. I think Blake put the cranks on when he borrowed the bike. And the motor. So the motor is the Bosch Performance line CX. You might be asking why I haven't got the CX Race Limited Edition motor, and that's because, well, the bike comes with that motor. Now, one really interesting thing with this motor and this frame, obviously you can see it's a bit tilted to allow White to get the battery down into the down tube quite low there. This motor is super quiet, and I think the frame material and placement actually plays a part in that silence. So one last thing is the 750 watt-hour battery in the down tube. I like the fact that it's removable because if I'm traveling, I'm staying somewhere, or I need to bring the battery in from the van to charge it up, it's easy to do so. I think the trend at the moment for non-removable batteries possibly doesn't suit the way I live. It might obviously be different from different people. Please do let us know in the comments actually about removable batteries. But there you go, folks. My white E160. It's not light, it's not made out of carbon fibre. It's got 29 front and rear. But what it does have is top performance. Let us know your thoughts.